Hello, my name is Andrei Kulikov, and in this video, I would like to show you some information about policy evaluation logic. It is a theory, and working with bucket policy and allowing to upload only files using SSE S3 and SSE EMS services of AWS. So as for policy evaluation logic, here is the description of it. It is complex, but with some experience, it can be understood. So let's start from the beginning. Um, Assume that the principal sends a request to AWS to access a resource in the same account as the principal's entity. The AWS enforcement code decides whether the request should be allowed or denied. AWS evaluates all policies that are applicable to the request context. The following is a summary of the AWS evaluation logic for policies within a single account. By default, all requests are implicitly denied with the exception of the AWS account root user, which has full access. An explicit allow in an identity-based or resource-based policy overrides the default. If a permission boundary, organization SCP, or session policy is present, it might override the allow with an implicit deny. An explicit deny in any policy overrides any allows. Explicit deny in any policy overrides any allows. So this chart provides details about how the decision is made. This flow chart does not cover the impact of resource-based policies and implicit denies in other types of policies. So, deny evaluation. By default, all requests are denied. This is called an implicit deny. The AWS enforcement code evaluates all policies within the account that apply to the request. These include AWS organizations SCP, resource-based policies, IAM permission boundaries, role session policies, and identity-based policies. In all those policies, the enforcement code looks for a deny statement that applies to the request. This is called an explicit deny. If the code finds even one explicit deny that applies, the code returns a final decision of deny. If there is no explicit deny, the code continues. Organizations SCP. Then the code evaluates AWS organizations, service control policies, SCPs, that apply to the request. SCPs apply to principals of the account where the SCPs are attached. If the enforcement code doesn't find any applicable allow statements in the SCPs, then the request is implicitly denied. The code returns a final decision of deny. If there is no SCP or if the SCP allows the requested action, the code continues. Here it is. Resource-based policies. Within the same account, resource-based policies impact policy evaluation differently depending on the type of principal accessing the resource and the principal that is allowed in the resource-based policy. Depending on the type of principal, an allow in a resource-based policy can result in a final decision of allow, even if an implicit deny in an identity-based policy, permissions boundary, or session policy is present. This is different than the way that other policies impact policy evaluation. For example, policy evaluation differs when the principle specified in the resource-based policy is that an IAM user, an IAM role, or a session principle. Session principles include an IAM role, a session, or an IAM federated user session. If a resource-based policy grants permission directly to the IAM user of the session principal that is making the request, then an implicit deny in an identity-based policy, a permission boundary, or a session policy does not impact the final decision. Oh, complex thing. So then next step is IAM permissions boundaries. The enforcement code that then checks whether the IAM entity that is used by the principal has a permission boundary. If the policy that is used to set the permissions boundary doesn't allow the requested action, then the request is implicitly denied. The code returns the final decision of deny if there is no permission boundary, or if the permission boundary allows the requested action, the code continues. Session policies. The code that checks whether the principal is using a session that was assumed by passing a session policy. You can pass a session policy while using the AWS CLI or AWS API to get temporary credentials for a role of federated user. If the session policy is present and doesn't allow the requested action, then the request is implicitly denied. The code returns the final decision of deny. If there is no session policy or if the policy allows the requested action, the code continues. Identity-based policies. The code then checks the identity-based policies of the principal. For an IAM user, these include user policies and policies from groups to which the user belongs. If any statement in any applicable identity-based policies allows the requested action, then the enforcement code returns the final decision of allow. If there are no statements that allow the requested action, then the request is implicitly denied. The code returns a final decision of denied. And there is one thing, errors. If the AWS enforcement code encounters an error at any point during the evaluation, then it generates an exception and closes. So what is the difference between identity-based and resource-based policy evaluation? Here it is. So the most common types of policies are identity-based policies and resource-based policies. Assume that Carlos has the username Carlos Cesar, and he tries to save a file to the Carlos Cesar logs and Amazon S3 bucket. Also assume that the following policy is attached to the Carlos Salazar IAM user. So here it is. Effect allow action for S3 and any bucket. Resource bucket Carlos Salazar, any action, and for this only gets bucket account and list access, and here is any action. And deny S3 logs for any log. Okay. Some more information I'll show you the link in the description. So the next part of this video will be the following. So it is a simple thing to upload a file to S3 bucket, but we want every file to be encrypted or by SSE S3 or by SSE KMS services. For that purpose, we have to do the following. The first thing is to make a bucket and go to inline and go to bucket policy. So I have it here already. How I did it? So I pushed edit and used policy generator. Uh, you can do it at least both ways. So in a JSON file or using that generator. So the rule will be the following. So we want to deny. We want to deny from any principle. We want to use it in S3 bucket policy. I'm sorry. Uh, Action. So action is a put object. Put object. A run of the bucket. We can take from here. And a star, it means that any file and any folder must use this rule and add some conditions. So the first condition is okay, null value true and k is 3 server-side encryption SSE S3. So and about S3 of KMS, this will be described in value. So null k and value true and string not equals to value a AES 256. So what does it mean? If the file, if the parameter XMZ server-side encryption is null or string is not equal to this meaning, then the policy will deny the upload of a file. And I will put another condition concerning SSE KMS. So here also I have to put a null to this one value true and not equal string not equal to yes, AWS KMS add condition. So let's check add statement generate and so what we have here action all putting the object effect deny if the conditions of this object will be the following. the server-side encryption or server-side encryption AWS KMS ID will be null, or the string will not be AES256 or AWS KMS. Yes. So let's check. I have already put it in this in the bucket policy. So let's upload. Second. So I upload a file not using encryption properties. Don't specify an encryption key. Upload, and I'm getting upload fail. If I upload using some encryption, this succeed, and another using AWS managed key. Yes. Ah, you must use. So upload succeeded. I have. So I have two files in my bucket that are encrypted. One is encrypted by SSE KMS, and the second is encrypted with also SSE KMS. So and the second file is encrypted by SSE S3. So and also I made a rule that that sends me an email when the file is uploaded. It is simple, but there is one thing. So to do it, I go to properties, event notification, a name, any name. Yes, and put. I want to know. I want to get a notification when put is done only. Yes, and SNS topic and the topic. But I'll open it. It will work only in one condition. If the policy, moment, Stockholm, sorry. When the policy of the topic says policy allows me to do it, so I I'm receiving notifications. So, for example, when I do not have sorry, when I do not have this policy, let's do some experiment. didn't have it. Um, Save changes. So I'll try to, and also I shall delete this from properties. Sorry, properties event notification delete. So create event notification tests any name, put SNS topic and the topic. It will give me a mistake now. Oh, uh, one moment, please. This happened because the policy of the SNS topic didn't change. It gave me this error. So I did here a deny. It will be saved now. I hope, yes. So then let's start from the beginning. So create test 2, for example, put oh, SNS and SNS. Oh, so we've got an unexpected error, and but I get the notification in my email on this event. 1 second. It looks like this one. Not all information about this event, but it was an event, but it had an error. And if I put here access policy and put here allow, oh, sorry, edit, allow, and push save changes, correct, completed, and I've got another notification. Ah, interesting. So you see, no event had happened. I suppose it only sends some notification that this service has been activated. And if on not activated, so, so sorry for this. Uh, I did not I did not pay much attention on the context of this notification. But if I put a file here, objects deleted first, and it doesn't matter, but I do that in that way. In that way. So let's upload. Click. What is encrypt? CS3 upload. So I'll get another form of notification in which we see the information what has happened. And happened the following thing, that we had an object created put. We have a principal ID, source IP address, and extended request ID, market name, principal ID I run. And let's think. Let me think about one thing. X, M, Z, M, Z, M, Z, I, D. Okay, S3. Okay, so it works. It works good. Uh, Thank you for attention. See you in the next videos. Bye.